I don't know too much about D&D. I have played Baldur's Gate, and I have seen the Critical Role series, like Vox Machina and the Mighty Nine. I have seen those. So, and I believe those are kind of based in D&D. But I don't know too much beyond that, beyond just general knowledge about fantasy and some such. And I saw that he makes videos about D&D. Why not watch them? I have watched Pancreas. Well, I used to watch him a lot more in the past. Not much anymore. Mainly because I got into Warhammer. He mainly makes videos about Warhammer. I got into Warhammer. I read some books, and I kind of stopped watching him. But this is D&D, and I am quite curious about what is going on here. Yeah, let's just begin. And this video is about Lolth, the dark elf goddess. Yeah, I don't know where to begin. Let's just...
Elves. Thank you for coming to my TED
Welcome to my TED Talk. Yeah, Pancreas have a preference for elf, I believe.
Talk.
Oh my god, I just realized what he put there. I know that Pancreas likes elves, but does he have a preference against the dark variety? You know, like the Drukhari or the more twisted kind? I don't know. This, based on the title, this is Dark Elf Goddess. So maybe it's an evil goddess, or perhaps I'm just racist. I don't know.
Elves tend to be a divisive topic, and it is not an even divide. A lot of people don't like elves, but by...
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, that could be true. I don't have a... I like elves, usually. Because usually they are associated with extreme arrogance, very powerful, magic, long-lived, and some such. And I do like those traits. But I honestly haven't encountered many people that dislike elves. I'm sure there are a lot of people, but you know, I haven't personally encountered many.
God, do I love them. Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons. I love me some elves and a...
Oh. Yeah, I too. I love Lord of the Rings. So, and this is an interesting imagery. I presume this is from D&D. Very gray. I like their outfits. The red and the yellow goes very well. They look quite royal or prestige. Well, they're elves, all right.
Every flavor they come in. Elder Scrolls is the sole exception because the Mer are not elves and are worthy of nothing but contempt.
I completely agree with that.
Dungeons and Dragons, though. There's been a lot of different kinds of elves across the years.
Yeah, a bit in Dungeons and Dragons. As I said, I don't know much, but they do have different versions. I mean, 4th edition, 5th edition, and I believe they're different. And so I can imagine there are a lot of different types of elves. Dark elves, maybe there are normal elves, and D&D is a massive world, I believe. So I bet there's a lot of variants of those variants, if you know what I'm saying.
Elves, wood elves, aquatic elves, they're everywhere. And
oh, let me go through.
Dungeons and Dragons, though. There's been a lot of different kinds of elves across the years. High elves, wood elves, aquatic elves, they're everywhere. And of course...
Aquatic elves? That is interesting how they would really show that. Because what I'm imagining is just mermaids. Like, those are pretty similar, but just... Aquatic elves, are they elves that just breathe underwater, live underwater? Do they just live in shores? You know, is this an image of all of them?
Of course, you need yourself a pantheon of gods to go along with your elves, the supremest of pointy ears, guiding them
the supremest of pointy ears
forward. Some of them are pretty cool. Corellin Lorethian is pretty neat. He's pretty cool, even if some interpretations of his lore he's a bit whack. Ellis.
I wonder why. Is he... I mean... Hold on. Yeah, I'm just checking. I'm recording.
Corellin Lorethian is pretty...
And Loresian. So there are two gods, and they look, if this is him, quite shiny and very stereotypical.
He's pretty cool, even if some interpretations of his lore he's a bit whack. Ellis.
He's a bit whack. What do you mean a bit whack?
Strai is super sweet. She's a real upstanding member of Divine Society. And
a real upstanding member of Divine Society. It may just be my prejudice, but I don't think the standard is very high among gods when it comes to being kind. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
And then we have Lolth. She's the patron goddess of the Dark Elves, or Drow, and the Drow in Dungeons and Dragons are sure enough not the greatest of people, as they
What? Why does she have multiple arms? Hold on, I need to go back.
Corellin Lorethian is pretty neat. He's pretty cool, even if some interpretations of his lore he's a bit whack. Elistrai is super sweet. She's a real upstanding member of Divine Society. And then we have Lolth. She's the patron goddess of the Dark Elves, or Drow, and the Drow in
Drow. Alright, so I guess you can call them both Dark Elves and Drow. I wonder what they prefer, but...
Dungeons and Dragons are sure enough not the greatest of people, as they aren't in Warhammer either.
Why is there a... Is that a spider behind her? A giant spider? Do tell me, is she... I forgot the name of those mythical creatures, but I think they're called arachnids? With a spider lower body and a humanoid upper torso. That would be very interesting, and yeah, the multiple arms would help. That. I don't believe traditionally arachnids have multiple arms, but it looks awesome and would fit. I see. So, was she corrupted somehow? I doubt she was born this way. All right, if you catch my drift.
Other settings tend to give various reasons for why Dark Elves suck, however, from...
Yeah, that's another arachnid, so I'm probably right about the spider theme.
Culture to history. For the Drow, it's Lolth. Lolth has a mandate of heaven passed down to the Drow, and it's an...
Most of them have very deep history, but in this case, it's just Lolth. So she is solely responsible for the Drow. Maybe she transformed a couple members, or maybe she did something similar.
In order to make the Drow continue being awful. That's the kind of goddess we're working with.
Hold on, what?
Lolth has a mandate of heaven passed down to the Drow, and it's in order to make the Drow continue being awful.
That is a very funny sentence. She got a mandate from heaven to make sure they keep being awful.
That's the kind of goddess we're working with. But she's an elf
She's just that kind of gal.
goddess, and therefore I am all in. I could not be in any farther. So let's take a look at Lolth, the deity who has LOL in her name, and that's probably what she's doing while she watches the Drow enslave another city of poor suckers.
Yeah, I guess there are.
Lolth didn't start off as a strictly speaking evil goddess, but you could see the seeds of what she turned into.
Yeah. Usually you turn into these things. Nobody's really born evil.
Known as Araushi back in those days, she wasn't a particularly powerful or renowned goddess, but she was around in the earliest days of the universe doing elf goddess stuff. Part of her portfolio was things like artistry, so she made the world look a hell of a lot prettier.
That's a very interesting first, I guess, dominion you would call it. That's a very creative dominion, but I can easily see it. I'm starting to get suspicious that this is somehow adjacent to very Slaneshi. The creativity. Oh, well, you can be a creative in many different things. Artistry, some view certain things as artistry that is not traditionally considered normal. I'm talking about torture.
That can probably make some banger works of art. She was also the elven goddess of destiny, which is something actually fairly important.
That seems a lot more important than artistry. Elvis Garden of Destiny. I mean, was she the sole figure in Destiny then? Or did a bunch of others have dominion there? Because that sounds quite powerful. Destiny. Very powerful. And it also sounds like you have a hand in the future. Maybe she can see the future, or... Yeah, you would pretty much need to be able to at least influence the future if your dominion is destiny. But I can also see how that can be seen as a curse. I mean, it's a very... How am I going to phrase myself? It could be quite... I can see it becoming quite lonely for somebody to have a hand in destiny and seeing the horribleness and... I don't know. I will let it keep playing.
And especially for what, by all accounts, was otherwise a minor goddess. She was
all right, yeah.
Even the consort of Corellin Lotharian, the head honcho of the Seldarine, which is the elf pantheon.
A lot of words are said right now, but she was a consort to a very powerful god. It looks like. It seems. I can.
He was given command of the Dark Elves to watch over, who would eventually become the Drow, for what, you know what, this might be an old-timey racism, because I think it was just because they looked like her with the ashy gray/purple skin. But
that that was just racism. I mean, D&D is very old, so. But still, that is some racism, and
moving swiftly beyond that mess of a situation, I'd say that all things considered, she was pretty well off. Were she a goddess content with her situation in life, she'd likely be a well-off one.
Right? Yeah, sounds like she had not necessarily. Well, she was a god. She had a good life, but you know, as long as authority goes, she probably was pretty well seated in their society, the god society, or whatever it is in this case. It sounds like they had some literal society here. Very many gods and ranks and some such. And she sounded to be about in the middle bracket. Low rank goddess, but she was in a very prominent position, which probably seeded the what I'm expecting her ambitious nature to really come from, because she's already achieved a great position despite her low ranking, and she has a dominion that is very impressive.
Might have even grown in power as time went on. I gotta imagine that early on in a world's history, the destiny of most people is help a community grow and then quietly move on to the afterlife. Later on,
quietly move on to the afterlife. I don't. Well, I guess most people would be like that, but it seems like you could die very horribly in the beginning, at least.
We get our D&D campaigns where all sorts of crazy adventures and terrors are happening, and Araushi would have been a banger goddess to pray to in that case. But Araushi was ambitious. I don't know if that was an inherent thing to her as a goddess, or she was just that sort of being, but she didn't want to live a quiet life making art, or wait for things to go down one day and get more followers then.
I mean, I believe, wouldn't gods inherently be ambitious? Because to search for more followers and some such, that's sort of the vibe I'm getting. I have been getting from, for example, Baldur's Gate. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but gods searching for followers and some such seems to be a trait of the gods.
She wanted respect and power now, so she kept going.
Well, I hope she was at least clever about it. I know this is gonna turn out horribly, because some of the image we've seen, she has had a human form, and as he shown earlier, that is not the case currently, I believe. So
from behind Corellan's back and kinda, sorta, a little betraying him and the other elf gods.
A little betraying him and the other. Just a slight bit of treason. A slight bit of treason. I mean, she is a god. She could maybe get away with it if it's just a slight bit of treason.
She kept working with the orc god Groomsh One-Eye, aka the long-lost third god of Warhammer's Green.
Groomsh, the one-eyed orc god? That sounds badass. I want to know more about him. I know this video is about Lolth, but he sounds like an absolute beast. How did he lose his eye? Why does he look so demonic? And what is his dominion? Is he just a god of combat and rage, or something else? And I know that orcs in D&D are not the same orcs as Warhammer. I'm not too knowledgeable actually about orcs in D&D. I'm not too knowledgeable about anything in D&D, but I feel like they're more orcs in the World of Warhammer kind of fashion. They're just big, green, and strong.
Skins
I don't know.
To get him killed in battle.
Hold on, what?
She kept working with the orc god Groomsh One-Eye, aka the long-lost third god of Warhammer's Greenskins, in order to get him killed in battle. After that didn't work, and
she tried to get him killed. So I guess you could argue that she did it in favor of the elf gods, unless they were allies. I won't expect that, but you know.
Groomsh was defeated. She went to the god Malar in order to try and get him assassinated again after the battle with Groomsh.
Why not try again? But I see. This is a interesting image of what I presume to be the god.
Groomsh. It culminated in her grabbing a bunch of other evil gods to form an anti-elf alliance, which makes me feel very conflicted because on the one hand,
All right, that seems like quite a turn to gather a bunch of others to form an anti-elf alliance, while you yourself is an elf. Seems a bit counterintuitive. And to be honest, I don't think this alliance sounds like it will last long.
High Elf is bad, but on the other hand, Dark Elf got his baddie, got me acting a fool. All of
Sometimes Pancreas just has a way with words.
these nonetheless failed, and eventually Orochi was banished from the rest of the Pantheon and sent to the Abyss, where she renamed herself Lolth, the Demon Queen of Spiders, on account of being partially turned into a spider. Once again,
why did she turn into a spider? I want to know why specifically. Was it because she was banished and just prolonged exposure to the Abyss causes this transformation? And why didn't they simply kill her? Was it because she still needed to provide support to the Dark Elves and she was the only one who had authority over there? Or I have a lot of questions, but I don't think they will be answered, so I will move on.
I am conflicted because I do not like spiders, but I like women who do like spiders because
Oh god. I do like spiders and I like elves, so this is a win-win for me.
I am a man of taste, and that taste is red flags. If you thought that
A man of taste and that taste is red flags. Great line.
this would be a respectable video and not a man dying of thirst for whoever to see online, then I apologize.
That is a great image, or art piece, I should say. I really like how it takes a second for you to see that this is a person that is enveloped in this web. I really like the design on this, and the long hair. It almost mimics the web she's spinning, which is awesome visual, I think.
Apologize, but that's just what I'm about here. Her son Viron was banished as well, and her daughter
Oh, this is a lot less flattering image. Just a head on a spider like that. What are these names? Varen, Karansele. It feels like I'm saying slurs. I shouldn't say these. But what did he
for
say?
whoever to see online, then I apologize, but that's just what I'm about here. Her son Viron was banished as well, and her daughter Ilustri banished herself out of shame in spite of not actually doing anything wrong.
Just by that's quite wrong. I mean, she banished herself just because her blood relationships did something horrible, and since she didn't help, well, I guess you could say she didn't help them, but it also sounds like she didn't actively fight against them. So she probably put herself in a neutral position, and I can definitely see somebody banishing themselves for not fighting against their family who you believe is wrong.
Kinda jumped the gun on that one, girl. Feel like you didn't need to do that.
Maybe not, but I can definitely see why a person, like as God, would feel very guilty of taking the neutral stance while her family did something horrible, and she could have fought against it, but she didn't, is what I'm assuming. He could simply have phrased it wrong.
Throughout this, however, and on her way down, she corrupted the Dark Elves she had been given charge of caring for. What was known as the Crown Wars followed, a brutal series of conflicts that
The Crown Wars, that is a very good title on a war.
several elven kingdoms falling, the entirety of the race nearly dying out, and overall it was 3,000 years straight of brutal violence.
3,000 years straight? Yeah, I'm surprised your population could ever recover from such a thing. That is, but this is a very different world, so.
A long time, even by elven standards. It was so bad that this is actually part of why.
How long do elves generally live in this world? And, you said sorry. Pancreas said that she got banished to the Abyss. Did she take her elves with her, the Dark Elves, that is, or did she? Yeah, I should just continue listening. I'm sure he'll answer.
Mankind is the dominant species after the elves all killed each other for a while, so Lolth really shot everyone with pointy ears in the foot here. The Dark Elven nation of Ilthair was punished towards the end of these conflicts, and were banished to the Underdark as punishment for their part in damn near annihilating the elven species.
Well, I'm happy I played it a bit longer. So those elves got banished to the Underdark, which we actually were in Baldur's Gate. There's a lot of mushrooms. A lot of mushrooms. But what? How did they survive there? I mean, do they have kettle, or did they? Maybe they just ate mushrooms, but maybe they're vegetarian. Maybe the dark elves aren't so bad. The D&D dark elves, because I don't think all of them can be horrible, right? I mean, they're not the Drukhari. Like, they don't get anything from suffering or something like that. I think it's a race, but I don't know. I don't know.
Left in a highly hostile environment with only one deity seeming willing to accept their prayers and stick with them, they then pledged themselves to Lolth.
Yeah, completely understandable. I mean, if the other gods did not want them, they really didn't have a choice, and thus making Lolth stronger. And if the other gods actually opened up to the Dark Elves, I bet she wouldn't have the amount of influence she has now.
Drow were born. Lolth ever since has tended to ally with that Malar fellow from earlier, as well as Leviatar, a goddess all about sadism, torture, and bullying. She also
and bullying. I want to go back again.
Lolth ever since has tended to ally with that Malar fellow from earlier, as well as Leviatar, a goddess all about sadism, torture, and bullying. She also sometimes pretends to be a goddess known as Moandar, one of rot, corruption, and decay.
She sometimes She... Hold on, I need to hear that again.
She also sometimes pretends to be a goddess known as Moandar.
She sometimes pretend... How do you pretend to be a god? Well, I guess you could just lie about it. Actually, never mind, that was a stupid question, but why pretend to be a different god? Maybe because your reputation will make it so less people worship you, but it doesn't sound like the god you pretend to be is particularly good. But maybe not, maybe not.
Rot, corruption, and decay. Bark, bark, elf, rot girl goddess. No, I'm not going to stop being the way I am. In her awful plane of existence, known as the Demon Web Pits, lies an infinite void of nothingness.
Demon Web Pits. That sounds badass. And this is a lot of webs. It actually reminds me of... Now, this may be a very obscure reference, but in Lovecraft Dreamland, there is arachnid, well, a spider with a human face that makes miles and miles of web as a bridge, and things get stuck to it. And she actually reminds me a lot about that spider. Please tell me in the comments if you know what I mean, because it's quite niche. But yeah, again, awesome visuals. Who is this art? Is this official D&D art? Because I feel like it's very similar to some of the other pieces that I have admired in this video. So
countless threads of evil spider webs. There are, of course, plenty of spiders of all sizes. Lolth is the goddess of those buggers, but also more horrific problems to deal with too. Succubi, Marilys, retrievers, and no, almost certainly not friendly golden retrievers. These are just some of the lovely demons and more she has serving under her, because when you're banished from the good side of the pantheon, you might as well go whole hog into being an utter bastard and have underlings to match. Her petition...
I mean, I really like the arachnid design, and I bet it's something, maybe even a blessing of hers, to be turned into this thing, because it seems like he hasn't mentioned them as a race yet. So it feels like it's more of a transformation and an after effect than an actual race of people.
Petitioners who end up here after death, meaning drow, are noticeably still drow, but more monstrous, like caricatures of who they once were in real life. Interestingly enough, this plane of existence isn't actually technically her realm. Oh, she absolutely controls it. No one denies that. But officially, at least, her realm is a giant iron fortress shaped like a spider that crawls across the demon web, presumably capturing and torturing any unlucky bastard.
What the heck? A giant fortress shaped like that, moving around, capturing people. This realm sounds dope. I would love to actually have a story about some adventurers or something along those lines going through this realm and seeing this giant fortress doing horrible things and just hiding from it, Could be quite interesting.
Shift into this place, but not another one to plane shift back out. It doesn't move much as of recently, which chances are means she's cooking up another plot to get her ex.
That is such a smug face. I am a bit distracted because that is a design. Very. I mean, they're elves. They're gonna be hot, but you get what I'm saying.
Any unlucky bastard with a spell slot to plane shift into this place, but not another one to plane shift back out.
You gotta have those spell
doesn't move
slots.
much as of recently, which chances are means she's cooking up another plot to get her ex-lover killed.
Hold on. Let her cook. Let her cook. Hold on. Don't let her cook. That's... I don't know how good she's at cooking, but... She seems to have mostly failed. Yeah, she mostly seems to have failed. She failed the major war, she failed the assassinations, she got banished. But after her banishment, she seems to have solidified her control immensely on over the Drow and in her own realm. So I'm surprised I actually haven't heard almost anything about Lolth. By how interesting she seems. Maybe it's because people don't like spiders, and that's quite a deal breaker when it comes to her.
So what might life be like in the day-to-day life?
Oh, hold on. Let me guess. Life under law. It's bad. It could be bad. She is friends with the god of bullying, so I expect a lot of bullying in this society. Maybe it's even admired. Like, yes, that's good. You're demonstrating your dominance. You're bullying the weak to make yourself stronger. And what is it? The domination of the weak makes the strong go stronger. Yes, they eat mushrooms, indeed, as I said earlier, because they don't have anything else. Hopefully, well, or maybe they like sentient mushrooms. Maybe it's the preferred meal. And I'm assuming they don't have any livestock, so... But mushrooms, a lot of bullying, maybe a very strict society. I could definitely see that. A very strict society. And this is D&D, medieval time, basically, so there are a bunch of nobles. A very feudal society, with the nobles bullying the peasants, the king bullying the nobles, the god the god bullying the king, and so on, basically. And do they have pets? I don't think I have any more guesses. Tell me. Oh, sorry, I muted.
What might life be like in the day-to-day life as Lolth commands things? Bad. It sucks.
Bad.
For some people, it sucks even harder than others.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, some people have to have it good. I mean, you are the bullier, and you grew up in society where you bully people. What is this? Elves, Drow, Lolth, Demon Queen of Spiders, Lesser Goddess. Is this the... No, it's the... It's the... Oh, it could be the general stats of a Drow. Are they automatically chaotic evil? That is quite an alignment. Symbol spiders, plane, abyss. Interesting. Is the abyss different from the underground? Because the abyss is where Lolth is banished, right? And the elves are treated to the underground. So perhaps it's just the abyss is the more spiritual plane of the underground, and Lolth is the one that hangs out there. Non-human deities.
Lolth is a survival of the fittest type deity in the way this usually is represented.
Oh, never mind. Not a strict society at all. It's just strongest of the fittest.
She finds nothing better than her followers stabbing each other in the back, for that way the most capable will rise to the top and the weak will be weeded out.
I actually don't... I in no way agree with this. Because just because you're good at backstabbing doesn't mean you're good at other things. And so it's a very flawed system if you actually want the strongest at the top. Because this will just produce people that are good at backstabbing and keep themselves from being backstabbed. They're probably not good at, well, governance or even fighting. Maybe they're just good at poisoning or something along those lines. Maybe they have a lot of money and just constantly scheme. It doesn't result in the most capable in anything really to reach the top.
This extends even to player characters as well. Drow
Oh.
followers of Lolth, around the time they're 6th to 8th level, and boy do I wish Dutch told me it was 6th to 7th level for the funny haha joke, take the aptly named
What?
Test of Lolth. Lolth will
Test. Oh, this is very interesting. I had no idea that race and goddess affected the classes so much. Well, not classes, but the players so much. The test does love. Sounds like you need to kidnap your lover or something like that.
whisper to the mind of a close friend or family member of the person being tested.
Hold on, was it that?
8th level, and boy do I wish Dutch told me it was 6th to 7th level for the funny haha joke, take the aptly named Test of Lolth. Lolth will whisper to the mind of a close friend or family member of the person being tested, telling them that they're actually her true chosen. All they gotta do to prove it and earn some sweet divine power is murder the person being tested.
That is quite interesting. So she doesn't influence the individual that reach power, she influences those near him or her, which, yeah, lives up to her nature, I guess. But I mean, what if the person doesn't have any loved ones or close friends? Maybe he's isolated in a cabin somewhere. Does she just send the nearest person on a quest to kill them? Or how does this really work?
If no such person exists, she picks
Oh.
a random cleric of hers she doesn't like very much.
Oh, I immediately got an answer. So she just picks a cleric she doesn't like. Why would anybody trust the messages she sent them? Because by the way he's phrasing it, this happens a lot. A lot of tests goes through, so they know it's a thing. So why would it... I mean, I guess if you succeed, you probably get a reward if you actually kill your target. But it demonstrates a certain power that they've got it, so... And getting this message, as he said, you're not well liked by her. But I guess... Actually, I can definitely... First I thought it's a flaw that people would recognize that she's a bunch of liars and they wouldn't go after this person. But they probably get rewarded, and if it's a cleric of hers, they're probably in it for personal interest. And yeah.
Around the time this person gets jumped, Lolth whispers into her ear that, hey buddy, it's testing time, better deal with this. Ideally, the test is to prove the person being tested is willing to kill for Lolth, though general resourcefulness and cleverness is also being tested, so theoretically this doesn't need to end in death. On the plus side, if your character survives this test, you actually get 2+ bonuses on attacks, saves, and checks for a whole month. Pretty substantial. If you die, well, you die, and Lolth eats your soul. If the tested individual...
I was just about to say that in D&D you could be resurrected, but if you just die and your souls get eaten, I don't think you can bring that back. So... Again, awesome design on their actants.
injured but survives, outright refuses to fight, or simply can't win and retreats, they're turned into a Drider, a half-drow, half-spider thing, kind of like Lolth herself. Drider usually scuttle away from home and are rarely spoken of again.
I am very surprised, actually, because wouldn't this transformation...
half-drow, half...
Wouldn't this transformation be a blessing? Like, you... essentially become more like your god in this way. So wouldn't clerics want this? I mean, you become monstrous, sure, but in a society where you worship somebody that looks like that and somebody looks like that and comes into town, they're probably gonna revere him or her. But in this case, it sounds like it's more of a taboo than anything. Like... that they fail, and as a punishment they transform into this. But what does that say about her, Lolth? Because as a punishment she makes people look more like her. It sounds like she doesn't like herself. It sounds quite self-destructive, and like she feels... not she feels bad, but she don't like herself. She doesn't like her form. And that's as a punishment, she makes others also feel this way by making them transform. But she's also the god of spiders, which suggests that she would actually need to like spiders, because she seems to have spider underlings and some such. I don't know. But then again, she does seem to really want to inflict pain on her followers, so...
spider thing, kind of like Lolth herself. Drider usually scuttle away from home and are rarely spoken of again. And in case you're wondering, well hang on, what if the basically brainwashed fellow wins? Well, they can be rewarded with the same check bonus.
They can't. I mean, it sounds like it's just a Lolth's whims. If she liked the person, she's just gonna kill you. Or if she didn't like the person, she's maybe give you some scraps. It doesn't sound like she's
Or
consistent.
their mind is wiped of the event.
And by that I mean the reward she shows for her followers.
Or she tells other drow that they attacked a fellow drow, which is a big no-no because you're supposed to do that without getting caught.
Alright, so murder is fine as long as you don't get caught, I see.
They're executed for incompetence specifically rather than out.
Is that supposed to be Lolth? I feel like it is, because she's the only one we've seen with as many arms as that, which is not a design choice. But she also holds the spider and almost looks at contempt. Like, she doesn't look like she liked the spider, so maybe I'm right about that. Maybe she actually dislikes everything, like the spiders and the drow and some such.
Which is funny, but also, what the hell, lol? Getting caught because you suck is one thing. Getting caught because of literal divine intervention...
I didn't think about that's true. Even if you did it perfectly, you need a perfect assassination. It's no point because a literal god just told everybody you did it.
Shining a spotlight on you seems aggressively unfair. In day-to-day life, though, she's more passive-aggressive, in that she's passively telling you to be aggressive under threat of torture. Lolth's
Great
general
writing.
are that love and compassion are for weak widow baby-wabies, and that fear is the best thing you could possibly inspire in someone else. While this isn't a video on the drow, this is in large part why drow culture is awful. Anyone who shit-talks the faith should be killed. Men, slaves, and anyone not a drow should be sacrificed to Lolth as well.
But how does that work with really their worship? Because by the sound of it, they're not motivated to love anything, including their god. You're not supposed to do that. What they are is fear. They're fearful of their god, which promotes their worship. That's why they do it, for fear of their god. So when they say that they're a devoted Lolth follower, aren't they saying they're just the scaredest person on earth against Lolth? Because, as they said, love is weakness, basically. So you can't say that you love your god, I think. I don't know.
Should be raised to respect her, and ideally every family generation should produce at least one cleric of Lolth, who will always be a female drow. Anyone who questions Lolth and her teachings refuses...
Why does she have a preference against for females? Maybe, I don't know.
...to do her bidding, especially for the sake of a loved one, or helps non-drow in basically any fashion, should also be executed. By the by, yes, torture is expected to be performed on all of these victims before killing them. Have you ever played The Force Unleashed? You know that cutscene towards the end where Palpatine is telling all the rebel leaders how they're going to be horribly tortured and then killed? That's Lolth. I really hope she gives the command in the same cadence as Palpatine in that game too, where he just blurts out, and then you will die, as one long run-on word. Oh, and also...
That's a weird visual, man.
Spiders, because that's like the only creature she likes.
Alright, I was wrong with what I said earlier. You gotta like spiders, or at least respect them, because that's the only thing she likes. Yeah, I mean, if that's the only thing she likes, sure, but I mean, how serious are we talking? Like, if I step on a spider, do I get cursed? No. Well, how about 10? Do I get cursed then? How about 15? And if that doesn't do the trick, does the bigger the spider, the more she cares? I mean, I normally would call that hypocrisy and some such, but this is an evil goddess, and she does whatever she wants. So she probably doesn't care.
Nothing but red flags, but brother, you can call me a bull. TL.
Nothing but red flags, brother, indeed.
For some of this, since again, this isn't the drow video proper, Lolth, either because she's just an asshole or because she really hates her ex-husband, consort, whatever, declares all men as third-class citizens. Any drow who don't worship her gotta die, and this...
Anyone that doesn't worship her gotta die. Alright, so she's very misogynistic against men. So, well, I believe that's called, well, matriarchy, basically. And so the females generally hold higher positions. I believe in this kind of society. And I also believe that since it feels like they're very under the thumb of their god, that the priest caste are the probably most powerful faction in this.
Slightest sign of weakness will get you killed. There are actually levels to this, however. Just not many. A priestess of Lolth who displeases her, but not enough to warrant full-on death, for instance, might have all her clothes burned off in the middle of leading a prayer. I assume this is not a painless fire. She might also...
And the humiliation. Like, imagine being a priest of a god that curses you and, well, you gotta keep praying and some such and hope she doesn't do it again.
To decide that actually, hey, buddy, pal, priestess of mine, I know I told you to do X, but now you gotta do Y. Yeah, she's aware that Y contradicts X, but it doesn't matter. Lolth said do Y now, so you better go do it. Luckily, if you piss her off, but only a little, you can always go kill a clergyman of the Seldarine, her old divine pal.
So it's like a get out of jail free card. Yeah, you killed a lot of spiders. All right, you burned down a nest of spiders. However, you just gotta kill that priestly guy over there and I forgive you. All right, so she has a very heavy dislike for her former... Is it husband? I mean, she was a consort, but does that make him her husband? Is that how it works? I don't know. It's semantic. Either way. I guess he also was a driving force against her in the anti-elf alliance. Is that still a thing, by the way? Or did it break up, the anti-elf alliance, after they lost? I presume after they lost it broke up. So, but do you gain favor with her if you kill a bunch of his priests without doing anything horrible? Maybe you're just devout follower of hers, or maybe she doesn't care because she feels like just that kind of gal.
That'll make her smile nice and wide, I'm sure. In fact, if for some ungodly reason you want to get on her good side, do that as often as possible. She loves when you do it. Worship and service to Lolth and more traditional prayer services do exist, and of course also involve sacrifice.
Is he naked?
With slaves, of course, but also general valuables such as gold and jewels. Does she need these things? Probably not. She just...
I mean, does any god needs jewelry, actually? I feel like Pancreas is Lolth is a bad god, alright. But, in our fairness... Well, I don't know, because I don't know this world. But I bet a bunch of other gods also ask for jewelry, even though they're supposedly good gods. So I don't think you could single out her on being bad because of this.
Wants you to suffer and submit to her, so empty those pockets and cough up whatever you have in the piggy bank, nerd. Be grateful she's only taking your lunch money today and not your soul. She can incidentally take a fancy to someone every now and again, and Drow being Drow and her being the goddess of Drow, this can be anything from something resembling a classic divine champion to her just being down bad for you. God, I wish I was that someone.
Oh. Interesting that he calls it being down bad for you. I mean, how does that manifest, really? I'm speaking as Pancreas, right? Because I have no interest in this.
Please, I would smash the ever-living hell out of Quelaag, and I'd do it here, too. She ultimately only cares for herself, though, which will not stop me. She can also send emotes to follow you around, and I mean that literally. It's usually a floating mouth of fairy fire in front of a spider, which also, yes, she sends spiders around to follow people she wants watched. Sometimes it's a sign of favor, but sometimes...
I mean, it's a great way to spy on people, just the spiders.
Sometimes it's a sign of distrust. It's Lolth. Those two things may damn well be the same thing, and I guarantee you that she intentionally isn't.
Again, a lot of awesome visually. I really like how creative they are with these Arachne designs. And he's giving the art credit right now. But, yeah. Great selection of art, Pancreas.
I'm telling you if you're on the good boy list just to keep you in line. You will absolutely know if you're on the super naughty list, however, because then it's time for the torture and death. Naturally, for all this kind of behavior, exhibited by both Lolth and her followers, you might assume that no one outside of the Drow likes Lolth. This is a safe assumption to make. In fact...
Yeah, I bet. Actually, I could see I bet that she doesn't have she has her community, right? But I bet also that some sects have formed around the world that follow certain parts of her. Could be, like for example, spider communities and some such people who love spiders could unintentionally become worshippers of hers. So I could see some enclaves around the world, very few at least.
Plenty of drow aren't the biggest fans of Lolth either. Even if
Yeah, I bet. I mean,
you're all about the lifestyle and love skinning people alive and the most radical kind of feminism, it's just gotta get tiring after it.
the most radical kind of feminism. Jesus. I mean, they sound like a lot of the Imperium, to be honest. And I know they're not the same. Like, it doesn't sound like the Drow lobotomizes a lot of people, so there's a difference. But still, there are some similarities to this.
Wow. I mean, after the third failed assassination attempt on you that week, surely you at least want to follow a goddess that only demands one a month, right? But Lolth has a near total stranglehold over the drow on account of them being banished to the Underdark. Life really sucks down in the Underdark, and so in order to receive divine protection and guidance, even from this crazy lady, they accept her rules and punishment.
Yeah, I mean, people in the Underdark gotta be desperate. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of animals there that you can comfortably domesticate, and I don't know about I've only seen mushrooms, so I bet they eat a lot of mushrooms there.
Plenty of drow, especially males given the whole turbo sexism thing, do seek to escape both the Underdark and her. It just doesn't always work. The goddess Ilustrai is the champion of those who attempt it, however, and she does encourage all drow subtly to go against Lolth's teachings. But most drow found worshipping her usually get crucified, as do.
But she also is a dark elf. I thought Lolth was kind of the major thing with the dark elves, and yeah, there may be others, but I thought they followed her, but all of them didn't. So this is one of those cases. But what is she a god of just of those escaping from Lolth, or is she? What is she the god of more specifically? Is what I'm asking.
Non-drow worshippers of her just for shits and giggles. Most non-drow, in fact, practically refuse to speak of Lolth, with only clerics of Ilustrai doing so, and in a tone of voice somewhere between referring to a piece of dog crap on the street and a serial killer. Indeed, amongst non-drow, almost no one worships her. Anyone who does is almost certainly insane and certainly evil, and for Lolth's part, she doesn't exactly love these people. She'll use them and grant them some boons, but you can rest easy knowing that they're going to have the rug pulled out from beneath them by Lolth and cast aside sooner or later. Any of the various races that live underground, such as dwarfs, have a special hatred of her as well, since they're the most frequent victims of drow slave raids. She's an evil deity, and not exactly the most nuanced of deities at that. It's not a criticism by any means. Classic evil villains that are just evil are good fun. But it does mean
I completely agree with the pure villain type. I mean, there's a place and time for everything, and I believe this is the place for a pure evil goddess. And she does seem to... There are things she likes, is all I'm saying.
that you tend to either be a drow fearfully worshipping her with the hope of either getting power or at least not getting killed, or everyone else who would gladly see her shot directly into the sun tied to a nuclear bomb. Oh, and for one last reason why she's also a petty bitch, you can freely call on her at any time. She doesn't mind. This is because she just won't pick up the phone even for her most faithful unless she feels like it. She has some of her demonic servants answer prayers in her stead, usually instead. Probably
I see.
less effectively. It's just, man, all around, she's the worst. Simply awful.
Now we're going to hit right.
No other way to put it.
Fighting. What do you mean?
In 3rd edition, we got stats for an avatar of Lolth.
What do you mean? I mean, I guess. I don't want to spoil Baldur's Gate, but an avatar of Lolth. That gotta be something.
Power avatar too, for when she decides things need a more personal touch, and or she feels like doing what her followers do to other people, but in person. She's classed as an intermediate level deity. The word intermediate might make you think that an experienced party of adventurers has a good chance of beating her.
What are you talking at? And well, I don't know the general level of an experienced adventurers, but what kind of world have that experienced adventurers can take on an avatar of a god, basically? And intermediate, to me at least, means kind of middle level. And that is still insane.
Don't focus on that word. You should really be focusing on the word deity. I understand
Yeah,
that
she's a god.
if something has stats, it can be killed, but can...
If something has stats, it can be killed. I mean, is there no immortal, truly immortal being in D&D? Like, has something like, oh, after hit points reach the zeros, enter a deep slumber and reawaken a year later, or something like
and
those lines.
will are two vastly different concepts. A lot of
Yeah.
older entities in D&D that weren't just like something simple like a Tarrasque, but were instead a humanoid entity, were granted levels in player classes in addition to any potential special abilities.
Here we actually have, I'm not going to read all of this. Oh, apologies. But Lolth, level 20 cleric, level 10 fighter, and level 10 wizard. Medium-sized outsider. Divine rank 25? I believe it's written. What is a divine rank? Never heard of that before. And her stats. Am I seeing anything interesting? Not really. Rebuke undead. Well, I guess she is a cleric, and clerics generally hate undead. Divine aura. Is that 1,500 feet of divine aura? That's a long range, I think. I'm not good with distances. Godly realm. Alright.
You want to know what level Lolth is? She's level 40, not 14.
Oh. Well, yeah, if you add those two, it's 40.
I did not mispronounce 14. She's level 40. 40. 20 levels in Cleric, 10 in Wizard, 10 in Fighter.
And I believe by the time you hit 20 in D&D, you're basically a god. Well, not this is an avatar god, an actual god, which is a lot more powerful, but you're a god compared to other people, because I think you have access to a lot of crazy things. I believe there is a spell called Wish that you can cast if you're a wizard or something along those lines, which is just a wish.
So immediately, if you aren't rocking a large party of level 20 adventurers minimum, you're screwed. You are going straight to her plane of existence, getting carded by her yourself. Or perhaps more likely, the corpse containing your soul will be carried off by her underlings. She has a +9 to initiative, so barring some bad rolls, she's probably up first. Having a speed of 60 means you aren't getting away even if her climb is only 30, which is funny for the spider goddess. And for health, she has 820 HP. Chunking that down also assumes you're physically able to hit her, because her AC is
that is a lot.
63. 9 from her dex, 15 for being a goddess, 11 for her ability to deflect and parry shit, and 28 on top of it.
Oh my
Eat
god.
shit and die. As for pure stats, she's got a 24 in strength, 29 in dex, a con of 22, wisdom intelligence each at 41, and a charisma
41?
of 32. Naturally, she also has a ton of immunities because she's a goddess, and those tend to be very hard to actually hurt, let alone kill. And I've yet to explain how she hurts you. Allow me.
I bet she has some very interesting things. Probably venom. Probably just erases you from existence. I don't know.
The lowest key and funniest thing she can do is reach into her pockets and start pelting you with spiders because hee-hee-hee-ha, you now
Because hee-hee-ha. That is a funny sentence.
have bugs on you. They count as daggers, by the way, for damage, and that's assuming your DM doesn't hate you, and also say that if hit by this, you know, have spiders crawling on you, and you have to deal with that in some way. In theory, you could try and grapple her, since her strength is only 24, which is something even a mortal barbarian could pull off with the right feats, ability score increases, and magic items. She will then cast some kind of spell on said barbarian. It might be a necromantic spell and raise the dead, the inflict wounds spell, but upcasted to level 5 million. She could just make you implode, too. Point at you like Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah,
and
just erases.
like a black hole
This is a great image. I've seen him use this exact images before, so...
spawned inside you. Her spells all have a DC of 38 plus the level of spell cast, so you probably aren't saving. She can also bite you, which aside from hurting, also saps your strength. If your strength score gets to 0, you die, mind you, which is very possible here and something to keep in mind if you do try and get into melee. That's assuming she doesn't just hug you, which counts as a charm person spell with a -4 to the roll. Incidentally, please bite me, Mommy Lolth. She also carries around
I see you got bitten by her.
+5 whip, which seems underwhelming, but it has basically every unholy sounding ability you can think of. I think if you bring it anywhere near a good aligned paladin, the detect good and evil spell starts going off automatically. And to almost round us off, her final ability is she just rolls 20s to hit because she's an intermediate deity. It just happens. I would also like to take a moment to not talk.
She just rolled 20. It's the best you can roll. That is some abilities. I fear what a high god's avatar looks like. Because this is well, I'm not too knowledgeable about this, but I can understand certain things, like when you roll, it's random, but if you just get the best number possible, you're gonna win.
Directly about Lolth. In the notes I've been given for this video, mention is made of how even if your DM is unfun and this doesn't auto-crit, this is still a natural roll of 20 plus whatever her ability score modifier is added to it, which can get damn close to a total of 100. That's quite high. That's a very high number. What do you mean, if your DM is unfun? Hey, asshole who wrote that sentence, what the fuck do you mean?
When you crit as a DM against your level 1 player.
If your DM is unfun, I'm not taking a critical hit on a roll that's already basically 100. What do you think fun is? Am I playing Darkest Dungeon? I thought I was playing
I actually played that a few days ago.
Dragons, not that. I thought I was here to have fun with my friends, not sit down with the person running the game I thought was my friend, straps on cowboy boots in preparation for kicking my balls straight into my throat. How bad?
That is the funniest section of this video so far. That is very funny.
Badly do you want to end a campaign to deploy that nonsense? Like, I've been in campaigns where everyone collectively decided we wanted to move on, but like, we can work it out more civilly than that. You don't need to deploy the auto-crit machine. At least save that for a greater level deity than medium, because at least then I'll know that, yeah, I deserve it for picking on the head of a pantheon or a god of war, not the jilted ex-lover spider lady. Anyway,
I think you still deserve it, because why are you picking on a god, man?
Anyways, yes, the final thing that makes fighting Lolth awful. If you somehow manage to pull away and your DM doesn't inform you that yes, you are now taking all of the crit hits, congratulations, you've slain an avatar of Lolth. That probably nets you a hefty amount of experience, some magical...
I bet that he earns you a lot of hatred from Lolth. I don't think you can ever really do anything anymore. I mean, wouldn't she send her followers to killing? I guess you would need to be enormously powerful, but you would essentially become an enemy to all drow and just be assassinated while you're sleeping.
Loot, which might include that fancy whip of hers, and a whole load of bragging rights. I would even be willing to bet that at least temporarily, it'll weaken her, since deities tend to not have avatars running around all the time. If they did, they probably wouldn't need things like clerics and paladins. But, how do I tell you this?
Oh my god. Can I guess what's happening? Are you gonna get cursed and transform?
You can have up to 10 avatars active at a time. And
oh my god. Never mind. If you kill one, you're gonna get jumped. Dear lord. Imagine killing one and then a week later, 9 more shows up. What are you talking about?
Nothing stopping them from being in the same spot together, or fighting you one after another, or jumping you all at once, which is probably what she's gonna do after proving you can kill her once. Oh, and I did forget about one more ability, which is that she can also summon up to 15 creatures per avatar and buff them, each of which is gonna be a powerful demon in its own right. Don't pick fights with gods. It doesn't go well. There's a reason you usually fight their followers and not a god itself. And
this is a great picture.
A horrendous person, deity, and being all around, the world really would be a whole lot better if she either was a lot less ambitious and selfish, or straight up didn't exist. But Drow's pussy got me acting unwise, and now I'm gonna stop writing this script and instead sit in my bed.
What pussy does to a motherfucker?
Could it be something to do with the fact I just said the words Drow's pussy without an ounce of shame? No. No, of course not. It's everyone else
Why would you?
Wrong. As always, thank you for watching. If you wouldn't mind doing all that kind liking and subscribing stuff, that'd be greatly appreciated. And even if not,
of course.
Thank you for watching. Take care out there. And
I'm already subscribed to his new channel and everything. I like this video. I actually wasn't sure what to expect going into this. As I said, I don't know much about D&D, but I actually like her a lot more than I thought. I really like her spider theming. I like spiders, and I really like arachnids more specifically because I feel like we never see them in media. Arachnids, but they're just an awesome design shot. They look so cool, and her being almost pure evil is quite funny. Just her followers are awesome. They grew up in an awful society, but they can't get away. I think you can make a lot of interesting things with this. I definitely see why it's D&D, you know? And she says that she is ambitious, but it feels like she hasn't. I don't really know the time scale of this, which is the problem. I mean, the Crown Wars lasted 3,000 years, and she ended in defeat. But what happens after she solidified her control over the Drow? Does she just what does these avatars of hers do? She can have 10. I mean, that's a lot of powerful avatars running around. What are they doing? Are they just, well, maybe she's just chilling and torturing people. Doesn't sound that ambitious. Maybe she is actively fighting against the others. But I guess there are a lot of other gods in this world who also have avatars who can, fight against her, and that's bad. I bet it's avatars mostly then are probably defensive purposes. Because if one or two dies, that leave you severely weakened and open to attack to other deities. Even as this is an evil pantheon, your allies basically, if they believe they can snatch your power, they probably will. So she probably used them very sparingly, is what I believe. But yeah, I liked it. Pancreas is always giving some very giving lore while at the same time being very funny sometimes. Yeah, this was a bit of an unusual video, but I like Pancreas, so I thought why not. And please comment the answers to my questions, because this is not a TV series or anything like that. Just give me all your knowledge. Give it to me, and I'll see you some other time.